Good evening, Galactic Ambassadors and Open Context Specialists. Wendy and Dave here. So, I wanted to share synchronicity. And one of the things that we've learned throughout these years and these teachings is even synchronicities are a form of abundance. And I feel abundantly happy and excited when I experience synchronicities, and especially when we are experiencing them this way, through sharing these videos and then in the comments, and then it makes me want to share more because it was such a weird synchronicity. So, Linda's comment last night, this was the weirdest thing. So I see your comment this morning, and I actually was, I was pretty flabbergasted. So I'm Central Time, you're Eastern Time, and you said the time that you were up was what, 4:41, I believe it was, a.m. I woke up at 3 o'clock, and I think it was like 3:03 a.m. And I also was very thirsty. I walked directly to the kitchen and I got something to drink, and I could not go back to sleep. I mean, it was as if I was wide awake. And it was really weird because I often will wake up and, you get up, you get something to drink or go pee or whatever, and it's like, and I just go back to sleep typically. And I was like oddly wide awake. So I sat up for a little while, and then I went upstairs in my studio, and I didn't want to disturb Dave, and I just could not go back to sleep. And I was trying to remember if I don't know if I even watched anything on YouTube, and it was probably, I want to say about 4:15 or something when I finally looked at the clock again and was like, I need to go back to sleep. So the weirdest part about it is so that at the exact same time, which would have been 3:41 my time, I was wide awake too at the very same time. So it was, I just thought it was such an interesting synchronicity that I wanted to share it. But what was even more interesting after that was when I did fall back asleep, I had a dream that I was in it seems like a big house, but sometimes the perspective's kind of wonky. And there was a lot of beings there. I can't say they were all humans because I really couldn't make out their shapes or forms, couldn't really see faces. But the feeling of peace, contentment, happiness that I was feeling while I was there, and it was like there was a big party happening. There was like some kind of a big celebration. And I also sort of felt, I say like in the distance, like in another room, like some of my own family members that were there, but I was more excited to be with the more galactic people that I was hanging out with. One of which was oddly the Dalai Lama. Now, and I say that only because it was strange. But we were all just kind of like peaceful, and we were being, I think we were silent. I think everyone was silent, and I could see like sort of like figure, I don't want to say shadows because it sounds kind of creepy, but I could see figures around like the room, and I could see like walls, and then some of my family members did walk through, two of which have already transitioned to non-physical, and one of which hasn't yet, but is part of the same family. But it was like the weirdest thing. We were all just like hanging out, and it was very comforting feeling. But yet it was very definitely other beings, other types of beings. And I think a lot of times in dreams, of course, we don't allow ourselves to see the faces and things yet because of fear. And even the family members didn't look like they would normally look, either way. So anyway, it was very, very synchronistic. And
Wendy has been wanting to make this video since she woke up,
this
or
morning.
since I woke up anyway.
Yeah.
And of course, I worked during the day, and we wanted to do this together. But she's been very excited to make the video and share this and talk about just the synchronicities. And so we know there's a value in sharing this because we're excited to share it, and certainly Wendy is very excited to share it. But the point is, you never really know how the sharing is going to be valuable to someone else. And if you're excited about it and can share it, the sharing is, part of the toolkit and part of the being a cooperative component of sharing the information, and sometimes being the puzzle piece that someone else is missing and whatever it is that they're needing to see or know or hear at that moment. So certainly there are things that happen that we might be excited about, but we're not so excited to just share right away. Because if we did that, we'd be on video all day long sharing everything, because even throughout my work day, I'm always doing my best to look at things from a higher perspective, from a not only spiritual, but from a perspective of following the formula and seeing the synchronicities and seeing the abundance and seeing what beliefs pop up and adjusting accordingly. So all day, the entire, our life experience is constantly working through these things. And I like to try to make it as exciting as possible, and encourage it to be more of an exciting experience. And so I am very excited to be here with Wendy and being able to share her synchronicities that certainly I played a role in some way or another.
And I think that's cool that when you hear Dave's voice, that you're hearing, or seeing other visions, because that's, I think, part of the excitement of our sharing is we don't really know, how a person's vibration might reach somebody. And yeah, I find his voice extremely soothing and calming, and I can very loudly project my voice, and I find myself trying to be quieter because Dave is so soft spoken. And yeah, I laugh out loud a lot.
And do you like our cool lighting? We're actually sitting in front of
our other fairy lights here.
We have the fairy lights and
funny you said that about funny you said that about fairy lights too, because we were just getting ready to head down to our little campsite down in the backyard, and we've got fairy lights in there. And then when you said that about the fairy, and we just put our fairy lights in here. And so we're like, well, let's do the video here while we've got the candle burning, and we've got some light, some firelight down here. And so that was another synchronicity. And I would say, as far as absolutely, as far as recommendations, I would definitely recommend Elon. And if you haven't found the YouTube channel yet, and we can put the link if you like, but Elon Interactions. This channel and the website, and it's a good thread to follow because it's very exciting, and the things that they are doing right now in gathering all this information, and it's all now in like numeric order, and they're putting it in just volumes for people to be able to access. And then we've been reading the Elon the Power on a Plate. Power on a Plate. Yep. That book.
He's published a book of the information. I'm assuming it is Andrew who is the channeler who chooses to remain sort of anonymous. And
if you haven't heard Ektar,
yeah, so
you know,
the other cool thing that I do want to mention is someone in that group of Elan Interactions has created a three-dimensional character
oh my gosh,
of Elan talking.
it's amazing
And
to sit and watch.
some of them sort of look like old video clips you might have seen of Daryl sitting in a room on talking with other people, answering their questions as Bashar, and it's sort of a similar type of thing. Sometimes he's on the ship or whatever, but it's a fully animated three-dimensional representation that is very activating because you're imagining, sitting in the room with him as a Sasani being.
That's pretty cool.
And so Bashar sort of talks about the idea of getting used to being around other extraterrestrials, other multidimensional beings, sort of acclimating to those frequencies. And certainly, if we want to have physical interaction, we also need to get used to and start accepting the idea of being with them physically. And it's pretty cool to see some of those on the Elan Interactions YouTube channel. And then the other one we were going to mention was Ektar.
EKTAR. And you got to search a little bit because there's not a lot of videos out there, but some of them are pretty hilarious.
But I think it's all one channel.
It's hilarious.
Ektar. And
it's pretty funny.
Yeah. And if it seems a little uncomfortable at first, just stick through it.
Because it's like listening to some of the really, really old Bashar where it's almost
yelling.
It's just but he's equally as kind of in your face, but in a really funny way.
Yeah. And there's some really funny things.
You could feel the Sasani sense of humor for sure. But we really enjoy Elan a lot, and I have to say too, like you said about the raw material, I find myself feeling the same way. Like especially like every, what is it? I am wrong, or I am wrong. And it's like and then I feel the same way. And I've and there's a lot of other channelers too that channel other types of species and but there's something about the Sasani energy and the way that they bring the information through. But like Cryon, the first time I ever listened to Lee Carroll channeling Cryon, I literally burst into tears because it was a familiarity. Like, as soon as I heard,
we know who you are,
of magnetic
and we
service,
know your name.
Yes, and it was like I knew right away they were talking to me. It was such an overwhelming feeling of love. And we often still listen to Cryon, to Lee channeling Cryon, but we really, really seem to resonate for whatever reason the most with the way Bashar delivers the information, and it seems to have been the easiest way for me to connect. And I also have this. That as we talked about before, that connection to echo. But for me, the energy.
And I don't know if we've talked about echo on the open.
A little bit, but not really. On my other channel, Languages of Lights, I have channeled that energy before in a few videos. But for me, the idea isn't as much of that personality construct, because the way they've described my connection to that energy, that idea is like almost like in a much different version of Sasani, like a future, and even more a future version of them in a sense, but yet
Bashar's future.
yes, their future. But it feels like, in a way, it sort of comes to me in a sense of a physical being. But I don't think that it's not. I don't think that it is. It's my own representation of the idea, because it sort of feels like sort of a being sitting, in kind of in a prayer position. But I feel like it's it's really hard to explain. Like a very old Sasani being, ancient maybe. So it's hard. I'm not even sure if I even understand it. So the information is only, like, I don't really seem to get words always. Sometimes, but not always. But anyway, so I have been. The word exercising is coming to me, but have been exercising that frequency, I guess, if that makes sense.
So I think what's most relevant in time as we create it, in our time stream, so to speak, that the idea of open contact is imminent for those who want to experience it, and it is likely to occur soon.
It was definitely
And,
celebration in my dream. It was of all of this.
In that idea, the most relevant teacher, if you want to call it that, seems to be for us the Sasani, certainly Bashar, his father, Willa, and Elon, of course. Ektar is just hilarious. So you got to listen to Ektar, even if you just to listen to him. And because we're very excited about open contact, and certainly a lot of the people who listen to Bashar are interested in open contact, then that's the most relevant and passive least resistance way of our getting those messages. As we expand our consciousness, there'll be other forms and other things and other excitements to follow. So
yes, I was just thinking about some of Bashar's most recent transmissions, which I think we'll talk about in another video a little bit. But the tracks are splitting for sure, and the Earths are, both of the Earths are like we're in those two versions of Earth right now, and so I can definitely feel that that the tracks are splitting, and many of us are going to be delivering more and more. We're going to be receiving and delivering more and more information as I believe the next couple of years transpire.
Well, I guess too, you could say in a sense, those of us who are interested in open contact and actually acting more and more themselves are really becoming the way showers to the idea of open contact and what comes next. And we are sort of in training to become, the emissaries of open contact. And how that happens, how our involvement is going to become relevant, who knows? And it doesn't really matter, because if you're following the formula, those things will just happen.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
With no insistence.
And I've been exploring this for quite a while. I had my awakening in 2011, and right around that time is when I found Bashar and a lot of other channels and channelers, and that's when I started opening up my own channeling experiences, and I've been excited ever since that time to share all of this, because all of these instruments and tools and the permission slips that they've brought to us, the symbols, just so many things have activated me. So I just wanted to share that synchronicity, because once again, I really believe that we're all meeting, in the astral, and I definitely feel like we're doing that, and we're when I say we're doing that more and more, we're becoming consciously aware now.
And recreating the new template realities.
That was the other thing I'm so glad you said, because that was the
That's
thing.
why I said it.
I know that Dave said this morning, because he said you were laying out the new template realities, because I definitely feel that I have made that decision. I am on this path, and there is no stopping me. And whatever was, it's like that's exactly what it was. Is we're all laying our new template reality, that this is the direction in which we prefer to go, and these are the experiences that we want to have together. Collectively, and of course on our own soul level.
And in many instances, we've heard various different channelers talk about the idea of how the progress that we make in this process of ascension, awakening, opening up greater consciousness, vastly and directly affects many, many, many other civilizations in ways that we cannot even imagine. So, a very simple example, and I say this all the time with Wendy, always just assume the universe is watching our every move, because they are. And there's no such thing really as privacy. We worry about our privacy, and in the three-dimensional world of having privacy, there's no such thing. So when we find a way to come up with our own permission slip, to transform negative beliefs into positive ideas, all of these things are like flashes into the universe of other civilizations going through similar things that are like, hey, what a great idea, we could do that. And I know Bashar has often said that they use us as an example when they're meeting new civilizations, where if those civilizations actually believe we could be so much in polarity, once they buy into the idea that it's true, that the example is, if these Earth humans could do it, it should be simple for us. And that we're creating the ideas and techniques and permission slips for them, and of course that they will apply it however is most appropriate to them, and what they imagine would be useful in their best use of the permission slip. But we have no idea. And circling back to the idea of Ra, one of the teachings Ra talks about is every little thing that you do, because we are all connected and we're all one, in some way, shape, or form, affects every other little thing. And you could sort of call it the butterfly effect.
And Bashar
but
said
it's way
that too.
bigger than that. Yeah,
I mean, if you
Bashar
look
said
at things
that.
like cogs, you can't turn one notch, on a cog without affecting every single other one. And
we're all cogs on that.
And I like that what you said too about the puzzle pieces, because that is the whole point about us being completely ourselves. Because until we are completely ourselves, we are not the puzzle piece that needs to fit in. And so many people are trying to be what they're not, and they're trying to shave off their pieces and parts of their puzzle piece, but they're still not going to fit right. So the only way we're going to fit right in this harmonious puzzle is to be completely ourselves.
And the secret to unification as a species is understanding that every single person is its own unique puzzle piece, and that is the beauty and value of each and every individual. So needing someone else to agree with you on any particular topic is irrelevant.
I mean,
We have to be, and this is part of preparing for open contact and being in open contact. You have to be accepting of everyone for what they are, who they are, how they are. When you look at others, you don't see black, white, red, blue, green. You just see another who's a reflection of yourself and a reflection of all that is. And acknowledge, appreciate, and allow that beautiful puzzle piece to blossom into the wonderful being that they are.
it's amazing how we can sit and look at in admiration of things that no two grasshoppers are the same, no two apples are the same, no two dogs or cats are the same. Nothing. We humans don't expect anything in creation to be the same as the next thing. We just don't. We know innately no two things are ever, not even the most identical of twins, are the same. And we don't expect anything in creation to be the same as another thing except us. Why do we want to be the same as something else when we're not supposed to be the same as anything else? And that still, even when I do it, amazes me. So we gotta cut that out. You be you. And I was gonna have a license plate one time where it was you be you for me, anyway. So, but yeah, you be you for me, and I'm gonna be me for you. And together we'll all be the right puzzle pieces, and we'll fit together. So thank you for inspiring this comment based upon your sharings and our sharings and so forth. And isn't that just a beautiful cycle?
and we sort of felt that responding in a message just would not be able to convey
exactly
the excitement that and the synchronicities and the joy that we have in recognizing how that not only sharing the synchronicities but sharing with us is really such an abundant
an abundance
gift,
of joy. Yeah, it is. It's a gift.
It's really a gift, and
and
we really appreciate all of you watching and any and every comment that you make, even if it's a comment that says, "What the hell is she talking about?" 'Cause we got one of those. That was fun. I think that was at an open contact TV.
I'm not sure, but maybe. And sometimes because other languages and galactic languages come out from other star systems and things, and sometimes it's like, yeah, what did she just say?
So if you're feeling activated, go have a glass of water and rest, because we are putting out the frequency of open contact, and that is sometimes a high frequency.
And I was reminded, Bashar did say something about waking up at 3 a.m. I'll have to see if I can find that clip, what he said about that. But anyway, so there's something about that too. But if we intentionally together decide that we want to meet in our dream state, because that actually is our spirit state, and do it consciously, I think it'd be very exciting to see what happens when we say, yeah, let's hang out in our dream state, and then when we wake up in the dream, we can chat about it. So how fun is that? So yeah, we did, of course, as usual, we are always we lose time when we're in our highest joy, and remember, when you're in your highest joy and excitement and you're literally vibrating in that frequency, the gamma state, you don't age. So as he always says, if 2-3 hours have gone by and you are immersed in your joy and you're just doing something that you're just taking your focus, and you've only felt like a half an hour's gone by, well, that's all that we've aged, and this is why we begin to feel and look younger. So yeah, you want to reverse aging? Well, be in joy.
Oh, follow the formula?
Follow the formula? Okay. Okay, you guys, good night. Talk later, and love you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Have fun. Thanks for hanging out.
Shibai.